Yo, bro. Last video did like 7 viewers, bro. That's crazy. I don't know if it's gonna be like that for every video. If it is, I'm all for it. But let's see what we got on the home screen, y'all. I hate doing already already like I already know the videos I'm gonna react to. I used to do that, but that took a while. So let's see. Let's watch this. I've just started playing the Arkham series games. I finished Arkham City and I finished Arkham Asylum. I'm working on Arkham Knight right now. I stream it every day. After I finish Arkham Knight, I don't know what I'm gonna do. They say I can't really play Arkham Origins unless I get the uh PlayStation Plus.
Which Arkham game had the best story?
And then at that point, it's on PS3, so most likely I won't be able to stream
the
it.
best story because the general consensus that a lot of people dick ride is that
I might just play it just because
Origins the best boss
I hate doing that.
Night best gameplay.
I like my
Arkham
streams.
City has the best story. Does it really though? I mean, it might be. It could very well have the best story or not. You're gonna have to wait on that answer.
Arkham Asylum was pretty fun
because I do think each game has a pretty strong narrative. So let's just talk about each game's story.
I thought it was more free world, but I guess it wasn't. You had that main village.
Keep in mind, we're not talking about gameplay.
I feel like in Arkham Knight, you got more stuff you can do.
Also, while I do talk about each story, I'm gonna try my best not to gush about them so I don't spoil what's the best one, I guess. Anyways, let's start with the game that started it all, Batman Arkham Asylum. Now, this story was really entertaining. There were no real stakes here compared to the other Arkham games, I guess, but that's okay because not everything needs to have something like that to be a good story. Arkham Asylum delivered on story pretty well. The introduction might have to be the most iconic one in the series. Batman driving Joker to the asylum with the doors opening, revealing their poses, super iconic. On top of that, the voice acting was of course super well done, which can be said for each game. Here though, it's where you first see a Batman very calm and collected, establishing that he's done this for a very long time. The story really sucks you in and has a pretty clear focus on what the objective is, which is to stop Joker from taking over the asylum.
Not the spoiling thing, but
they all act like how you expect
I hate how in
like Batman stopping
Arkham Knight,
battering at the Joker
Scarecrow comes back.
The game has little
but then
like establishing characters, and I really like that. However,
yeah, Scarecrow
the story
comes
here
back,
is
but
good,
then in
it's just kind of bland.
the first game,
then
Croc
kill
quote-unquote
Scarecrow of his life, if you will, if this were like a Batman TV
yeah,
show
Killer Croc, he just bit Scarecrow and swallowed him.
You don't really need stakes to make some.
Now, I'm like, how did, if he
like I said,
ate him and swallowed Scarecrow, how did he come back in Arkham Knight? That made no sense to me.
Now, I will say this game's atmosphere does add to its story a lot. Throughout the story, you really see how crappy of an area Arkham Asylum is, which you can't really say for the other games. Arkham Asylum is a hellhole, and even without Joker taking it over, the story establishes that it's just a disturbing area to be in. The other games don't really give you that sense of dread. Having a smaller map,
only 5 minutes.
And creepy
Damn, it's
details
crazy.
helps to build onto the story, making
crazy, y'all. 5 minutes.
Pop out more. Killer Croc is a great example, as playing that mission the first time made me feel a sense of hopelessness that I really didn't feel in the other games. And the story did have some awesome moments, like the Scarecrow bit where everyone thought their game crashed, but at the base of the story, it's a very straightforward Batman story. And unfortunately, the game doesn't stick to landing on the ending very well. The whole Titan Joker bit just felt kind of whatever, and it's not what people remember about the game. Overall, however, the game's story really benefited.
Yeah, after this Joker mission, I thought we were going to do something else. But nah, that was the end of it. I ain't expect it. Then I was like, I don't know. I know, I felt like when I was a kid, I could never finish any story mode. Like, it was like,
not as
the story just goes on and on forever.
Next one I wanted to talk
but then when I got older,
now,
I finished the story mode about 2-3 days, which isn't long. Seems like it. But I only played the game for like 3-4 hours, sometimes 2 to 4.
Angry Batman who wanted to be a lone wolf, to then understanding that allies like Alfred are only there to help him and make him stronger. The story does an excellent job at what it set out to achieve. Everything around that, however, like the main plot, the villains, the voice acting, are all very top-notch as well, as expected from an Arkham game. I think what really makes the story great is the character of Batman. We've never seen Batman like this in the other Arkham games. In the other games, he's way more stoic and way more of a calm and controlled badass. Aside from the amazing character narrative we got on Batman, the other characters in the game are done it excellently too, like Bane and Joker. Even the ones that aren't focused on as much, like Firefly, get a lot of time to shine, and play really enjoyable roles in the story. I think the main thing that hinders the main story is the game's ending for me. Kind of ends abruptly. It's like Batman stops Joker, and Gordon's like, we have Batman now, yay. And Batman glides off as it goes to the credits. Like, really? I feel like there should have been more there. Aside from that, some things like how underused Deathstroke was disappointing considering how much they promoted him before the game release. He's a really cool character, so it sucked. That can all be chalked up to preference though. Overall, the story here was very well done for a character-driven narrative. The cutscenes were all beautiful, the voice acting, Roger Craig Smith and Troy Baker as Batman and Joker are just insanely good. It's criminal they aren't these characters more because my gosh, they are so well done. The same can be said for everyone else in the game too. Everyone did a great job here. But yes, to wrap it all up for this game, Arkham Origins had a very character-focused, character-driven narrative with the story not really having huge stakes, which isn't the point though. The story set out to show us the Batman actually going through character development, which they nailed really well. It showed Penguin having some hoes too, which was cool. While the game could have benefited from a better ending, I think overall, the things they did to set this apart from the other Arkham games are pretty good if you ask me. I understand that people didn't like that they used Joker again, but come on, for a prequel, a story between Batman and Joker's first interactions with each other is always really cool to see. And I think this game caught a lot of undeserved flack because of it. It's good people are starting to see how good this game is now, so they can experience the great story. Now the next game...
When you write, your tone influences how readers
3,
respond.
2,
Grammarly,
1.
just highlight your text and type.
Game I wanted to talk about is
this is
Batman
15
Arkham
minutes.
Knight.
I
I'm
thought
saving
it said
Arkham
5
City for
minutes.
last because, you know, people say it's the
Ain't
best
gonna lie,
story, and I love its story, but yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Arkham Knight really set out to obviously be the biggest scope of the Arkham game, since it was the conclusion. Scarecrow threatening the entire city, and Batman has to go stop him. Oversimplified, but yeah. Also, the Arkham Knight is there doing stuff. I know I'm kind of messing around here, but the story is actually really interesting. I think a lot better than some people give it credit for. The game, to me, gave a very satisfying conclusion to the series. While the story I feel gets the most slack out of the series, to me, I think it had a lot of its own identity to make it stand out. Let's start with the stakes. This is the first time we really have to save the entire city of Gotham, while the other games are more focused on their locales, so it's really cool on that end. The stakes here are the highest it's ever been, and you know that something monumental will happen at the end.
In other games, you just had to save like one territory,
ultimately dies.
like
Not really,
Arkham
though. He just
Asylum
becomes a new symbol for Gotham City,
and
whatever
other
that
things.
means. Throughout the story, however, you get some really emotional, intense moments in the game. The part where Oracle, quote unquote,
I just played through that one.
sequences in the Arkham
That was the
games.
last
A
part
very
I played
tense
through.
moment. And the
Plus
scenes where you
the
see Jason Todd getting
getting
tortured are
into the
just
blimp
gut-wrenching.
and doing all
The
this
game
other
really
stuff.
pushed it up with the mature rating, showing these kinds of events, and it helped to build
I
on
haven't
the
got to
story.
this moment
It
yet,
helped you see how Batman blames himself for these things
but
happening
I
to his
think it's
family.
my
The
second
effect
playthrough.
Scarecrow has on Batman
I just
is
never
related
finished the game.
excellently because of things like this. The story really went all in with that aspect of fear and hallucinations, showing us things like this, making us ask ourselves what's real and what isn't. Add that all with the Joker going around trolling you, and this may be the most enjoyable a story has been between the cutscenes between point A and point B, because you have a consistent, solid narrative there with Joker. It's really cool, and I feel these moments get underappreciated because of how much
I don't know,
Batmobile
Joker's
pisses
nice.
people off. Now again, we're only
I
talking
be
about the story here,
enjoying
not
the Joker,
gameplay, but the
and
Batmobile being used a
sometimes
lot in the story
I
makes
be
sense.
like, Joker, shut
Batman is
up.
fighting against an entire army, which includes tanks. Of course, the Batmobile, from a narrative standpoint, is going to be used a lot. It just makes the most logical sense. What I really like is that Scarecrow is pretty much there the entire time, whether he's talking on the intercom or whatever it is while he's gliding around to each beat of the story. He's there to remind you that, hey, I'm the big bad here. And then there's the Arkham Knight, of course, we have to talk about. Now, let me just say this. If Rocksteady didn't try and make us think he was this quote-unquote entirely new character before the game came out, I think people wouldn't have been so hard on the whole idea. Narratively speaking, it does make sense that Jason is mad at Batman.
No,
But
it's
personally,
Jason.
I
I
actually
didn't
thought
know
the
who
Arkham
it
Knight
was.
really badass.
So
My
it's
main
Jason
issue with it
Todd.
was the conclusion. There
Interesting.
really was no proper ending
Red
between
Hood.
him and Batman. Batman finds out it's Jason, they play tag for a bit, Batman then apologizes to Jason, and he vanishes, and then comes back to save Batman at the end of the game. But then, like, he doesn't say or do anything. After he saves him, Batman just kind of walks away. I feel like Bruce and Jason needed more scenes together. It would have been so awesome to see them talk about the trauma, and Batman trying to explain to Jason what happened. Instead, we got a relatively rushed conclusion with him, which kind of sucked for me. Aside from his conclusion, I thought Arkham Knight was entertaining, and I thought the rest of the story was great too. The amazing graphics really benefited his story and added to all the amazing moments it had to offer. Sometimes it could be a bit incohesive, like the Joker blood and Scarecrow fear toxin. Stuff like that is explained in the game, but I feel like it can confuse people about what Batman is infected with and yada yada yada. Overall though, I think the story was great and it stuck the landing to the conclusion. Could it have been better? Sure. But you can say that about a lot of stories, especially ones that sucked. This one didn't, so it was a nice conclusion to the Arkham series for me. I enjoyed the story for this game. Okay, now, let's finally move on to Batman Arkham City. A lot of people's favorite entry in the series, and for good reason. Don't think I'm here to try to be devil's advocate. I fucking love Arkham City. I got it day one when it released, and it was love at first sight. This game just revolutionized the whole genre, right? And aside from the nostalgia I had for the game, it's actually just a very well done game. but its story is something special. This game had so many plot twists,
I
so
wonder
many.
what
It had
type
so
of
many things to
FX they
balance, from what
using.
started as you trying to stop Hugo
They make
Strange,
the
ended with
game
so
Bacopa.
many
When I was
mess and a
playing, it
scope
looked
that was
like
way
a,
bigger
I
than
don't know,
anyone
a
would ever
brand new
imagine.
expansion or
Let's talk
something.
about it. Hugo Strange is in charge of the
I
superheroes
guess
in
it's
Arkham
like
City and plans to initiate Protocol 10, which is a
PS3.
plan
I
by
played
Hugo
on the
Strange and Ra's al
remastered,
Ghul to
so
kill everyone in
I
Arkham
can get
City,
that.
along with anyone that can ever be considered a loose end. On top of that, you got a whole plot with Batman and Joker, where Joker's dying, he infects Batman with his blood, forcing Batman to find a cure for them. Now, with all that said, I think the story did an excellent job weaving these two plots in, because if they didn't, it could be kind of a short story, right? Batman just goes to Hugo Strange, stops him, and saves the day. And that's the thing. My whole issue here is that the Protocol 10 storyline takes a backseat for majority of the game. It's not even really a thing until the game's final act. You hear Hugo Strange throughout the story say Protocol 10 will commence in however many hours, and that's really it. The bulk of the story comes from Batman going on a wild goose chase to find the cure to save himself and Joker. That being said, it was very well done. Going through these different sections of Arkham City, seeing how they're divided and taken over by the criminals, like Penguin taking over the museum, was really interesting to see. The city and its dynamic changes throughout the game.
I think
And
when I
what I
was
thought was
younger,
cool
most
is
of
how
the
you had to go
stuff in
find Ra's al Ghul to use his blood to create the
Arkham
cure,
City
with Ra's
was
al Ghul then
hard.
playing a bigger role
So I
as
was
it shows
never
the
able to
twist where he's
complete
the
the
real
game.
mastermind behind Arkham
But when
City.
I got
Those
older,
two plot lines kind
it's
of weaving
kind of
together
easy.
with
All
was
you
pretty
have
cool
to
to
do is
see.
just
I do wish we got to
pretty
see more
much
with
just
Hugo
follow what they
Strange knowing
say.
Batman's identity. Aside from
I was
using it as
young. I
leverage,
was
it
young.
never really mattered in the end. Even though they promoted that when the game's trailers were just dropping. It's not even that big of a deal though. The game's first and second acts were entertaining and really well
Oh
done.
yeah,
The
that's
game's
when
final act
he's
though, oh my
fought
god, we have so
Solomon
much to talk
Grundy.
about. Might be one of the
He was
best
surprisingly
action
easy
video
to take
games
on
I've
too.
personally ever
As
played.
long as you
The music
upgrade your
swelling
gear,
up
you
as
should be all
Alfred tells
good.
Batman that he has to stop Protocol
Which
10
is
to
what
stop
I
saving
never
the girl he
did in my
loves from
first
Joker.
playthrough.
The twist with Ra's al Ghul killing Hugo and revealing he's the mastermind, and then him dying, then going to save Talia and finding out that Clayface was pretending to be the Joker, then Talia dying, and then Joker dying. Like, what the f? So much happens in the final act, and it's all done
I
very well.
hated
It's
they
kind of
killed
wild.
off
The game
Talia
definitely had
Al
the
Ghul.
biggest and most impactful ending of the series, hands down. Joker dying, a bold move, but one that'll set this game apart from many to come. The twist with Clayface was out of nowhere, but worked so well. It makes you want to replay the game to see the little hints about him. The game's conclusion to me was the best in the series, hands down, and the story leading up to it was amazing, hands down. It was not only cohesive, but tight-knit. It was groundbreaking. Being one of the first AAA superhero games to fully explore an open world like that and do it near flawlessly, while
I really
also
thought
intertwining
him
with
and
the
her were
story
going
was
to team
really
up to
impressive.
take him
The
out.
characters were all done flawlessly, except Bane,
That would have
but he's
been
not part
so
of the main
cool.
story, so whatever. Having a great story
But they
topped
had
off
to
with a
prolong the
jaw-dropping
story.
ending makes this game extremely memorable. Arkham City was a fantastic story. I loved it. Okay, so now that I've glazed over these games, which one is the best? Each of the games have a compelling and interesting story. However, yes, sorry to disappoint, Arkham City does have the best
You
story.
say what?
From a narrative standpoint, it just really excels. Psych! You thought Batman...
I don't. That's not me. No, that's not. Somebody called me about some stuff I had on the marketplace. I sound that was me. That was me.
Arkham Origins had the best story out of all these games. It does. Do not go in the comment section yet. Scroll back up and watch what I have to say and subscribe to if you're not a pussy, but hear me out. I'm going to share a couple of words with you, okay? You may have never heard of these words, so I recommend looking them up after I say them because I'm not going to define them for you. Are you ready? Here goes. Preference and opinion. My personal preference is character-driven narratives. Arkham Origins presents one of the best character-driven superhero stories that I have ever seen. It's fresh. A lot of superhero stories nowadays do only these two things: save the world, or first get their abilities and learn how to use them. This game does neither. Instead, it focuses on Batman and shows him what actually matters and what he thinks does. This story is the only one where it really focuses on Batman and his development, and like I said, does it beautifully. The scene where Alfred almost dies, to Alfred then giving him the famous ally speech and to Bruce putting the mask back on with all the bats flying around him.
Again, we have lost Blackgate. Captain Gordon is calling on anyone for assistance.
They need you. No. They need us.
Come on, come the f*** on. How can you not get goosebumps from that, dude? And it doesn't even stop there. I would argue some of the villains here are done better than Rocksteady's. Bane is perfect here and for sure better than Rocksteady's Bane. Bro, this is Bane. Smart, strong, scary, perfect rendition. Slade was done way better here than he was in Arkham Knight. Deadshot arguably as well. You see what I'm saying? Like, the characters were done so much justice and were interesting. And outside of that,
Yeah,
the
I
plot
can't lie.
itself was
All
really
Bane
thought out
was
for an early
was
Batman. Having 8 assassins
a
hired
regular guy
is a good premise to introduce a
with
lot
them
of first
tunes of
interactions
toxic.
with these characters. The
And that's
game
about
just
it.
gives us so much character to these characters. I mentioned Bane, but I can't gush enough about how amazing Bane was done here. This is the perfect version of Bane. The bar has been set with this guy in this game. Troy Baker. Troy Baker might be my second favorite Joker voice actor of all time. He nailed that character perfectly. Roger Craig Smith did so good as Batman, my gosh. The music in this game was so
I noticed
good.
some
It
of
worked
this
so
stuff
well
look
with this
different from
narrative.
what
But the big
Rocksteady's
selling point for me
Joker,
is the character growth we
Batman,
see of Batman and Joker. Joker
Alfred,
goes from wanting Batman dead to then loving the
Bane,
cat and mouse game.
just
together.
everybody.
The story is
I don't know
very easy
about
to follow too.
Deathstroke,
A
'cause
toddler can
Deathstroke is
understand it, which is a
Deathstroke.
good thing because it allows you to focus on
I ain't know
everything
Deathstroke
else,
was
I
in
guess.
Arkham Knight.
I don't know. The story
Not
is
that I really
superb.
did any of the
The
side
characters
missions,
are
I'm just going
superb.
straight through
The
the main
character growth
missions.
of Batman is what sold me. It was a very cohesive story, and I loved it to death. The stakes here were more about Batman and finding his true role as a vigilante before losing everything that mattered to him, like Alfred. I love this game. But obviously, I'm not the Arkham judge. Everyone has their own opinion. Let me know what your favorite story is. Even if Origins wasn't your favorite, you can't deny that it
Black
was very,
Mask,
very
that
well
must
written.
be
And I'm glad people are starting
Slade
to see more
Wilson.
nowadays. Let me know if you agree or disagree. Subscribe, like, comment if you want, I guess. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Stay
I've never
safe
seen
and,
Batman face
peace.
Deathstroke. Looks like that's a fun fight. I have to watch that sometime. Thanks to everybody that joined me.